Okay, so I had teased out ahead of time something that I just thought was mind-blowing, and this is it. It's called Notebook LM. It is a product that's been developed by Google. It just recently came out of beta and is still 100% free, which is kind of fun. But I've talked before about closed loop GPTs, right? So large language models that you train with your information and it doesn't draw information from anywhere else, just exclusively what you train it on. So I want to give you a look under the hood, and then we're going to try to do something kind of fun live, and hopefully it works. So Notebook LM, AI-powered research assistant is what they're calling it. They can really help you get kind of critical insights and answer questions based on your information, only the information that you provide. So think of a chat GPT that you have trained that doesn't get anything from anywhere else. I've got asked recently about Notebook, how does this compare to Gemini or OpenAI, ChatGPT, or whatever? This is something that you're feeding exclusively. So it is not drawing information from outside resources, only from what you feed this GPT, which all the others will draw outside information. So it starts as simple as this. You upload your sources, and I'm going to show you an example in just a second. You can upload things directly from Google, of course. It's a Google product, so it loves that. But you can also put in PDFs, text documents, audio. So you could upload potentially the audio from different trainings, from different videos that you've done, from podcast if you wanted to. You can feed it parts of your website if you wanted to, or if there's an update coming down the pike from the state Department of Insurance or anything like that, any YouTube video. And you can also, of course, just put in basic text. So those are the ways that you can feed it with exactly what you want. And then, based on that, you'll draw information straight out of it. So I want to give you a couple examples here. I recently did a presentation on the book Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. If you haven't read that book, I hope we talk about it more as a team moving forward. A lot of our teams are working on this right now. So I use this as an example. So I went in, I pasted a bunch of text from a bunch of resources about the book, about the idea behind unreasonable hospitality, what it means to reimagine your customer experience. I even included some YouTube videos that Will Guidara, the author of the book, had done, several of them. It automatically draws all the information from those, uploaded a couple PDFs, uploaded a couple presentations, and I put these 9 resources in, and it gave me this quick breakdown. So right here in the start typing, I can now ask it any question. I could ask if something fits into this, something that we're doing. I could ask for ideas in the title insurance industry when we're dealing with realtors, lenders, and real estate attorneys. How is it that we could perform the best possible unreasonable hospitality? You could do pretty much anything you want, but you'll see these things here that are really cool. So I want to kind of show you some of the things that it can do. One thing that I think is really awesome, based on that data, it will create a study guide, which is basically a quiz and then an answer key. I think back to college, this would have been unbelievable for me. But also, if you're rolling out some new process and procedures, there's some new regulatory compliance, rate adjustments, whatever it is that are coming out. This is a great way to be able to really easily, with one click, create a study guide for your team. Kind of a fun thing to go through as a group. But I love the fact that it provides the answers as well. And so that stuff was really pertinent. The briefing document is a breakdown of the entire theory or whatever it is that you're going through. And it did a really good job here. It creates an intro. What are the core concepts? What are the key principles and practices, the main takeaways? And it's kind of eerie how accurate this stuff is. It's unbelievable. And again, a briefing document or kind of a FAQ sheet on what unreasonable hospitality is. If I had to sit down and create this myself, or say it was on a new process for your company, or something like that, it would take quite a bit of time. This took about 3 seconds to create. And another kind of cool feature is the timeline. So it actually took all of the book and all of the interviews and gave a timeline of this process, how he went from early life to a restaurateur to creating the #1 restaurant in the world based on incredible customer experience. So the timeline thing is pretty cool, and it's amazing how thorough it is. But something that is really interesting to me is there's a reason why long form media, in other words, podcasts, have become so popular. We all learn very, very differently. So some of us learn visually, some of us are great at reading. If you're like me, I talk about how I read like 20 books last year. Little hint, most of them were audiobooks, right? And I actually retain it better that way. I don't squirrel out as much as when I'm trying to read a book and I stop paying attention. And we've all read a couple pages of some document that we're not super interested in and we have a hard time retaining it. we technically retain 10 or less % of the written word. So I wanted to show you a way to learn and teach from long conversations. And this is something that hopefully this works. I'm going to hop over live to Unreasonable Hospitality. So this is what it looks like, the platform itself. Here's the study guide, the briefing doc, the timeline, FAQs. But it actually gives you a chance to create a podcast. And so it takes two AI chatbots and it basically turns them into voices, and you can select the different type of voices. So say you had something you really wanted to train your team on, but you know maybe they're not going to read a 50-page briefing document. But if there was maybe a 27-minute podcast, they would read it. So what it's done here is taken all the information that I've uploaded into this closed chat loop, closed large language model, and it's turned it into a podcast. And let's take a look for just a second about how it
All
sounds.
right, get ready to dive deep into Unreasonable Hospitality.
Oh, yeah.
We've got articles, research, even a YouTube video, all about this idea.
That's right.
And it's taking the business world by storm.
It is.
And no, it's not just for fancy restaurants.
Right.
Though that's where it kind of got its start.
It did, yeah. The concept comes from Will Guidara,
Okay.
the former general manager of 11 Madison Park.
So this is a 27-minute long podcast of two humans talking that are not humans and doesn't exist. I wanted to try this interactive mode live, but because of the microphone on Zoom and stuff, it won't work. But one of the craziest parts about this is if I click this interactive mode, I can then call into this podcast, ask questions, make comments, ask how this would apply to the title industry when our clients are realtors and lenders, and it will actually give me live feedback based on that data in real time. It is insane. So I'm just thinking as a title agent, all the things that I could do with this. Everybody learns different. Everybody digests information different. A lot of people aren't going to sit and read all of my things that I send out, my new process and procedures and new handbooks and all that. But there's a good chance they would sit down and in the car on the way home or at their computer, play this podcast. And again, you can share this podcast. So if you wanted to, if you have a podcast going on and maybe you're getting a little nervous about recording and things like that, you could actually create this podcast based on whatever it is you're trying to get out. You could call into it, chime in personally, so it's your voice, but not have to host the whole thing. And then you can actually share this podcast. You can share it. It goes out in MP3 format. You could actually upload it to podcast websites if you wanted to. So it's kind of creepy to think about some of the podcasts we're listening to may not necessarily be like actual humans, but they're getting the point across in a really, really effective way. So Notebook LM is what this is called. It's one of my favorite new tools. I'm just absolutely mind blown every time I use it. And like I said, right now it's totally free. And this is how you get to it. Notebooklm.google is how you get to it. Incredible tool. I think this is the future of what we'll be doing a lot. I've talked about Second Brains in the past, which is your closed loop, personalized ChatGPT or large language model. This is a way to create one of those super simply, super easily, totally closed loop. And the only people that will have access to it are the people that you invite to have access to it. So if you're a nerd like me, you probably think that's kind of cool. I know I do. So I'm excited to hear some of your use cases when you guys start to dive in just a little bit.